I'm Nicole.
I'm Geraldine.
I'm Lauren.
And this is
Doing the Damn Thing, an entrepreneurship talk show.
Hi, I'm Robin Fletcher. I'm a native of the Oakland Bay Area. I am here to ask a couple of questions about how to manage multi-brands. My day job is as a salesperson for a company called Planted Places. In the early mornings, evenings, and weekends, I'm managing my own brand under my name, Robin Denise Fletcher, and I'm transitioning that to a new brand, Conscientious Rebel. I need help on two levels. The first one is, how do I manage these brands in a way that doesn't confuse my target demographic? The second question is, how do I manage them in a way that I don't get confused and I can be clear?
Hello everyone, and welcome back to our latest episode of Doing the Damn Thing. Today we have Robin Fletcher here with us. Thank you so much for joining us. And we are going to be talking about how to manage multiple brands, which you probably are going through that if you clicked on this video. Because you clicked on this video, make sure to subscribe, hit that red button, ring that bell, like this video, and share it. Thank you so much. All right, so we're gonna go around and talk about the multiple brands we all have, and Lauren's gonna start us.
Cool. I'm so excited to introduce this because on this show, typically we don't talk about what we do, but all of us have rich lives. So my brands are, I am co-owner of Meet Geraldine, where I am a brand and business strategist, and then I am part of Doing the Damn Thing, where I'm a co-host and entrepreneurship coach, and then I also am part of a new brand called Activate Women, which is a female lifestyle brand, and then I have my overall brand that encompasses all these parts of me called LaurenMessmer.com.
And I'm Geraldine Convento, and Lauren actually mentioned three of the brands that I'm a part of. Meet Geraldine, I am the web and SEO expert, and also founder of the company, as well as Activate Women and Doing the Damn Thing, which we're all here doing. My last thing is Geraldine Convento, just the overall brand. I do video production as well as I'm a YouTube personality where I talk about video tutorials for tech stuff as well as law of attraction and mindset.
Cool. I'm Robin Fletcher, you already heard. My day job, I'm a salesperson, and what I do with that job is I sell vertical gardens. These are rolling and they're sold to consumers and households. In the early morning, evenings, and weekends, I have my own brand called Robin Denise Fletcher, my name, and under that brand I have a collection of my projects. I have an inspirational blog. I also used to do, and I'm currently doing, a little bit of coaching, adversity coaching. And then third, I'm transitioning that brand to something called Conscientious Rebel. That would be similar to a hero, but one that's slightly imperfect, flawed, has goals and challenges, but needs a little bit of support. So I'm transitioning that, and I think that's it. Okay.
She thinks that's it. More might come throughout the whole episode. So, as Nicole, I have multiple brands. So the first brand is, of course, Doing the Damn Thing. So I'm a co-host for this, and then I'm the one that sort of prompts all the social media posts on Instagram. And then I run Epiphana Magazine, a Latina lifestyle magazine, and under that is not only the boss, because I manage interns, but it's also YouTube personality, because I do a lot of the YouTube videos for that channel. And then for Epiphana Marketing, I do a lot of social media strategy and content marketing. And as you guys can tell while I'm talking, I'm getting out of breath just thinking about it. It's a lot of brands. So yeah, that's all the brands that I deal with on a daily basis. So let's...
Yeah, well, I mean, talking originally, this episode came about because Robin came to us, or as we were having a discussion, she asked, how do you represent multiple brands at one time? And then the follow-up question was, how do you represent multiple brands without confusing your audience or you? And so I thought that was a great idea for a episode, because all of us, it allows us all to kind of talk through this. And as coaches and consultants within this space of entrepreneurship, I think we all also have experienced a lot of it from watching our clients and go through it. So I want to kick it off just because as a brand and business strategist, I feel like one of the most important things to do is to get really clear on brands in general. So when you think about, Robin, when you are thinking about your brand in your head, your brands in your head, what are some of the common threads that you see amongst all of those brands?
Oh. One thing for sure has something to do with passion, startup mentality, whether or not it's created, and then being able to show up to be able to sustain that effort, especially before success, whatever that means to you, is hit. I tend to, even for jobs that I look for while I'm doing my side gig so I can support myself, I tend to be very attracted to initiatives that are risky, really aimed at social entrepreneurship and making a difference, and exciting. So I think that's probably.
So which brands specifically, when you ask that question, which brands are you thinking that you want to have be out there at the same time?
I want Conscientious Rebel to be out there at the same time as my brand, because I think people are going to want to know what that means and the history behind it, and I want to give some context. I'm not sure about Planted Places. It's just very different. It's like apples and oranges. Mm-hmm. At the same time, I love it. I'm supporting it, and I'm working there, so there's a necessity.
So when you say your brand, what does that encompass?
It's my website, Robin Denise Fletcher, and right now it's an inspirational blog. It's a collection of projects, and just a month ago I started a video series on Mondays called Mojo Monday, and it brings in my love of dance. I've danced about 35 years. That's a long time. It brings in my love of dance and movement in a way that helps people kind of see the humor in frustrating things, like being awakened early in the morning by a motorcycle driving by. So,
and then in terms of Conscientious Rebel, what are the activities involved with that?
So let me just, before I answer that, let me say that it's not up yet. I own the URL, but I'm actually I'm creating the website this week, so it's not up there. So if you Google it, you won't find it.
Well, this will come out a month later probably, so it might be up by then.
Right.
Do you want to stop and
So Conscientious Rebel is a collection of inspiration and resources for folks that are just trying to be decent and make a difference. I'm focused in terms of inspiration and resources, I'm looking at two particular areas where folks get stuck. One is in initiating a new venture. The second one is, once you've started it, how do you maintain it with passion, clarity, staying connected to your original goal, et cetera, et cetera. Mm-hmm. So my resources and support online for Conscientious Rebel are going to be kind of funneled in those two areas.
Okay. So I have a little point. So with all your brands, so going back to the what's it called?
Planted Places.
Planted Places. Mm-hmm. So that's your day job.
Yeah.
Are you at the point where you're sort of concerned of like how much of you need to put out there in line with your day job? Like how do people need to see you with that business?
It's a great question.
Yeah.
It's a question I've been kind of avoiding, actually.
Yeah.
That's how good it is.
Okay. Yeah. I have a journalist background. So
yeah. It shows. So the answer is yes.
Okay.
And so to expand on that, I am getting more concerned because it is in the early stages of putting products out there. Mm-hmm. It's been in business over a year, but it is, we're launching a new product just this last month, and I'm going to need to be at events and talking to people about it and connecting on LinkedIn. And so it's a real, like, I don't know how to do that, and then at the same time send them to they're going to look at my LinkedIn profile and see that I do adversity coaching, but then I'm not even really doing that right now because that's shifting, so I feel like I'm on a fault line.
Yeah, you don't want to be that person at the cocktail party that has like 4 different business cards,
That's
or a card with like 4 different things that you're like,
Yeah. So I don't know, like I just have some tips right now.
Yeah,
Can I share?
great.
So one tip is with all your business, all your brands, what I learned to do is certain social media platforms are going to be for a certain business or brand. It doesn't have to show everything. LinkedIn is naturally going to show everything, but maybe on LinkedIn you're going to be promoting more your 9 to 5.
Okay.
You don't necessarily need to be promoting that maybe on your website a whole lot if it doesn't align, or your Facebook if it doesn't align, and you don't feel guilty because you're not doing that, right? Because like no one wants to go to your Facebook or Instagram and see 5-10 different things, because we're gonna be like, girl, what are you doing? Like,
Yeah.
Confusion.
Right.
People naturally want to give you like 3 titles at most, and that's it, and move on. They need to put you in a box somewhere for them
Right.
to process what you do. So that is one tip for social media. And then when you're talking about the networking and the business cards, it's when you go to a networking event, have an intention of why you're going to that networking event, for which business.
Or which one, right?
And then you might run across someone that has a business that's more aligned to something else that you do, and that could be a side conversation. Oh, in addition, I do this. But don't go in there thinking I need to network for all of my businesses, because then it gets like, okay, because then you're going to come off as like, that girl does everything, and then that could go negative, because then they're going to be like, oh, she doesn't have time then to work with me or to collaborate
fair.
with me.
Yeah.
My 2 tips. There you go.
But I actually have a question. So
Okay.
the second one, I feel very grounded in it. Totally makes sense what you're saying. I'm, going in representing one brand. But the first one, I'm a little bit. Here's my question connected to that, and that is, what if Conscientious Rebel has resources that does appeal to people in business, and so I'm going to want to use LinkedIn as, for example, as a platform. But Planted Places also appeals. Part of my target demographic for that business is businesses, and so I need it for both. So is there?
Are you going to be having a business page for both, or are you just promoting it on your page, on your profile?
The latter.
The latter. Okay, so then that's managing 2 business accounts, right? Which is fine, and people can link to it. And then on your personal page, make a strategy of like, not just thinking, okay, today I got to talk about everything, but maybe Monday you talk about this business, and Wednesday you talk about this business. I tend to be more operational. That's where my mind goes. They know this very well. I like to think in calendars, but thinking along those lines, because nowadays entrepreneurs, and especially in the Bay Area, people know that you're going to do multiple things. And I've noticed people talk about their multiple things quite beautifully. Like, it works really well. And then there's people that I feel like maybe it gets jumbled. So if you go into it with a plan for like, and it can be a very simple plan. You don't have to, think a year out, but like for the next month, these days I'm going to talk about this, and these days I'm going to talk about this, and just maybe one business you just have to really focus on. They're really great photos, so you're not going to be talking like giving a paragraph. It's just like, Mondays I'm going to take a photo of this for my business, maybe like the vertical planted gardens, because I think that's good visual. Quick little sentence. Wednesday you talk about more of the Conscious Rebel. Right?
Conscientious,
Conscious Rebel, and then that could maybe be like a video or something along those lines.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
But I heard that as all on one platform.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what I heard.
That's what. But I feel like you contradicted that earlier.
Yeah.
And said,
Well, because I didn't want people to feel like they need, like, I was also thinking like Instagram and your personal Facebook, where you think you need to put everything on there, and I didn't want you to feel like you need to put everything on there. But if you need to, be strategic about it. Don't get overwhelmed that you have to share everything all at once.
Yes, and the way when you said people do this beautifully. So when I started off asking you what is the common thread, that's really what. Let's like whittle it down. Even the planted gardens could be, there's a common thread there for you, why you were attracted to it. So your LinkedIn profile, I think, can encompass all of that, but you find the common thread that shows, okay, it's not a confusing thing that you're doing this now while you're also starting your own venture and growing that, and it shows your passion. And I think Geraldine can speak a little bit to that in terms of websites, because you mentioned some of your strategies around that.
Yeah, ultimately, at the end of the day, whether people are buying from you through your day job or they're following you for your Conscientious Rebel business or your own brand, dance and things like that, people are really focused on you. So one of the ways that I leverage the web for that is that for each one of the brands, such as Meet Geraldine, Activate, there's a website, and then I have my own website. So kind of like how you have your website. So for GeraldineConvento.com, it serves more so as a portfolio. So it has all of the different projects and brands that I'm associated with, so people can learn about those individually and be directed to those individual pages.
I like that.
And then there's video feeds for each type of different thing that I'm doing, and then also kind of a little bit of a resume. It's not really so much a bio, because these days people don't have a very long attention span.
Right.
It's the way my resume is formatted is that it says the different areas of expertise and how long I've been in each one of those industries and the different companies.
Right.
So that way people could just see a really quick overview, and if they're interested in a particular thing, they can be directed to what
I
that
love
is.
that.
So for you, since you
Yeah.
already have your own personal blog and you're creating a website for Conscientious Rebel, it could be like the hub for everything new. So
Right.
if you wanted to, you could even have something related to your day job there, and it can go out to that as well.
Yeah, because you're a
Wow.
salesperson, so you could, do some kind of your link or whatever that goes there, and then there's all sorts of digital marketing that could be associated with that. And I think what just occurred to me is like, okay, the question was like, how do you be without getting yourself fractured as well as not fracturing other people? And let's think about it like this: you're a person. You have multiple, right? You're a person.
Right? Most days.
Does everything you do, is it all the same and it all would make sense? Like, would I look at you and you're like, I love classical music, so then I'm like, oh, well then she must love to dress in gowns and
And paint in the garden.
yeah, and like all these things. Most likely not, right? You have multiple. You
Yes.
might like punk rock music, and you dance to classical music, and you hang out with people who are hip hoppers or whatever,
It's
So-
worse than that.
Yeah?
I actually listen to AC/DC while I'm doing ballet. Okay.
Hey,
I love that.
But you make it work,
See
right?
how that works.
So, I mean, if you think about it, your brands are just pieces of your personality
Right.
that are out there. So just like, it's no different than us just managing our daily lives and our daily human. No, I don't get confused by you if you tell me that you dance ballet to AC/DC. I think that's really cool.
Right.
So, I have a whole bunch of inferences I could make from that. But
Right, sure.
going back to and taking that and connecting with what Nicole said about, having a schedule, like maybe on Mondays you're just doing this and Tuesday that. I think it's just like when we're entrepreneurs and we get to be with ourselves and we get to make our own schedule, sometimes we try to do everything at once. Whereas like if
So
you had a
true.
job or 3 jobs, you would
Right.
have a schedule. You would go to this job 10 to 5, this
Yeah.
job Monday, whatever.
Right.
So really, I think a way to not confuse yourself is to create activities and your to-do list in the order and kind of bunching it up as
Right.
like this is my that day or
This job, that
this
job.
morning, and
Totally.
helping to intertwine it in that way. Yeah.
And I think also
Yeah.
just taking a step back and realizing sometimes like that you're in your head and that you're not going to confuse people as much as you think you might confuse people, right? Because I know like I get in my head a lot and I love calendars, but realizing that I see people all the time and they have multiple things and somehow it makes sense.
Yes.
And so just realizing it's okay. Like people could figure it out, but you can't be all over the
Right.
place, and you don't want to feel overwhelmed. Like you have to be all over the place. It's a good planning.
That brings up a really interesting idea, which to me, which I've thought about without really realizing I thought about it, and that is this question of, or not question, it's a kind of envy. I have multiple brand, smooth multiple brand management envy. That's what I have. I didn't know I had it.
I didn't know it was a thing.
Yeah, I was like, oh yeah. I like that.
We should do a cure for
Oh my
smooth
God.
multiple. So what are some of the things that you guys have seen people do well that might help to What's just beautiful? You said people do it beautifully. What are some of the things you see?
Well, a lot of the brands or people that I know that have multiple brands that I follow are usually on Instagram, right? Their brands are on Instagram. And so they have developed a system where they're going to have separate Instagram accounts, right? One for this brand, one for another brand. And they also know that they have to share their personal life, right? Especially if you're a small business, people want to know who you are.
Right.
But they have done it where it's not a photo of them every day, right? They have done it where they might share like once a month, they might share something personal or something like that. But the reason why it looks beautiful is maybe it's the same color scheme, you know, or it catches my eye. But the two brands that they have, or the three brands, have separate homes. And so I'm not looking at a photo of like, you know, they might have, so like the doula that we were talking about earlier, I have a friend, she's a doula, but then she also sells essential oils. Those go together, but they also have two different audiences, and they also have she has two different wants for them. She wants someone to buy the essential oils, and then she wants someone to get her as doula. So those are going to be two separate accounts, and it's the two separate messaging, but she shows herself in both, and then she might share some doula photos on the other, just so that way it looks like, she'll show it like how to use essential oils as a doula, and vice versa.
I love
it
that.
flows, right? But they still have two separate homes.
Right.
And her thread would be like natural care.
Yeah, not
you
care.
know?
And so it makes sense.
Yeah, it would make sense for her to have things like that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Cool. What do you have other questions?
I know. I feel like we just like gave you more questions.
Well, which is good. I think that's a real. I love questions.
Cool.
I do. That's what we do best.
Well, I think the issue for me is if I understand correctly, it seems like it makes sense to focus at first on the overarching thread, right? And then dress that in the sense of like, what does that look like, and how do I portray myself in that? And then from there, determine where the homes are, i.e. in social media. And then, so let's say for me, just as an example, it would be Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. Then the next level of granularity would be to consider, okay, I'm going to do Planted Places on Fridays, just as an example. I'm going to post about Mojo Monday on Mondays. That makes sense.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. So I feel like you guys are offering me a tiered system, like how to break it down. It's not madness. And then when you were talking about having, I don't remember your words exactly, but having one location online where you have these different offerings.
Your personal.
It's interesting, as you were talking and offering that as a possibility, I kind of felt my shoulders relax.
Yay!
I can do that.
It was my mind control is the tone of my voice and the delivery of the words.
It's just interesting, yeah, because I do get in my head.
Yeah.
And I think speaking more to the website that has all of your different brands on it, the great thing about that is it's really about you and the fact that you're dynamic, you're multifaceted, you're doing this and you're doing that. And it can always expand and contract as your projects or your businesses expand and contract.
Right.
And it wouldn't be a disconnect. It wouldn't be like, oh, wait, what happened to that? It would just be gone, and maybe you have a blog post that talks about, well, that wasn't really something that worked for me anymore, or I'm transitioning to this.
Right.
So it's always about what you're communicating to the audience of what you're up to. And it doesn't really matter what you're up to because it's all about you as a personality.
It's all about you. I like it.
Yes.
All about you.
Also, just one last thing before is that the thing about your job, like having a job, and even though especially in sales it's a lot about you, I feel like allowing yourself to sink into their brand rather than really in making it your brand can be helpful too, because then it's also your intention is clear. They're a startup, you love what they're doing and you want to help them grow, so you're definitely part of it, but eventually you may just kind of sashay out of it or something, so it's like that way you're not like making yourself so part of their brand. It's more their brand is what you're plugging yourself into, if that makes sense.
And just to piggyback off that, so this might not really address, you're going through maybe some of our audiences, is I know a lot of people that have their day job, which isn't maybe sales. It's like the job that pays the bills, and then they do like the influencer or they have their side business. I would never know they have a day job because they don't talk about it. It's not part of their brand. It's sort of like their hidden secret.
Yeah.
It pays the bills, and then everything they do is either their side business or they're influencing, and then that's it. And that makes sense. Like there's no shame in that. Like every time you go out, you're just going out as that personality, not as a representative of this job.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and that's fine.
Yeah.
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 Interesting.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us today and having this
yeah.
conversation with us about managing
fun.
multiple brands. If you guys have any tips for us or any questions, make sure to comment below. And thank you so much. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. And we'll see you next week.